This is chapter 6. It's called The Way to Stop Communism. The Nazi Party started in Munich, and people were desperate for something new. The common people really latched onto it. Hitlerism had to answer communism with something just as radical. The Nazi slogan of 1932, quote, "If you want your country to go Bolshevik, vote communist. If you want your country to remain if you want to remain free Germans, vote Nazi," end quote. Most didn't really know what communism was, but they were against it. In 1937, the Pope addressed, quote, "Nazi errors," unquote, and they accused him of hurting the anti-Bolshevik cause. Inflation in post-World War I Germany had left even those who had jobs near starvation. And of course, many had lost their jobs. Kessler, Dahm, and Gustav Schwenk were unemployed when they joined the party. Taylor Schwenk and bill collector Simon were employed, but their business was bad. Hofmeister joined to keep his pension, and Ruprecht joined when he was 8 in the Cub organization for Hitler Youth. Klingelhofer and Wedekind were March Violets and thought it was good for business. Most of the 10, only the teacher had ever read the 25 points. They had all heard that the program demanded positive Christianity. The Germans had been at each other's throats since 1918. They didn't want to lose their independence, and the Nazi motif was, quote, "throw the bums out," unquote. Officials were getting huge salaries, and Hitler promised to cap their salaries at 1,000 Reichsmarks a month. And Hitler was the real anti-politician. They called him, quote, "rat catcher," like the Pied Piper. Okay, chapter 7. It's called We Think with Our Blood. Hildebrandt joined in 1937 because he was afraid not to. He had been an anti-Nazi in East Prussia and came to Hesse in 1935. He liked that the Nazis broke down class banners. He met people who he would have been above or below, or who would have been below him before. I don't think they've explained it yet, but or maybe they're going to. The teachers in Germany were very well respected and well educated. Teachers in most of Europe were well paid and highly respected and had higher levels of education that most people couldn't afford. In Germany, the teacher and pastor were the most respected people in town. And the teachers would preach for towns that couldn't afford a full-time pastor. Religious teaching was part of elementary school until 1918, and most of the parents were actually afraid of teachers. In small villages, the teacher was usually the only one who went to non-vocational secondary school, and usually the only university grad. And teachers would come into the home on off hours to be sure that children were punished for things they did at school, which is why the parents were afraid of teachers, because sometimes the punishment was very harsh. Teachers were generally the best traveled. They were considered above politics. Nazis saw teachers as dangerous because they taught the truth. As Nazis elevated the, quote, "little man," quote, they placed emphasis on non-intellectual virtues and cast suspicion on teachers. I'm going to stop there.